Mama's gone mad. Mama's gone mad. Mama's gone mad.
Hi, I'm Brenna, and this is the Mama's Gone Mad podcast.
Mama's gone mad. Mama's gone mad.
So I have a very exciting offer for you all. I have kind of teamed up with one of my favourite companies, Crest Candles, and I am able to offer all of my listeners an amazing offer of 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. So obviously February isn't the longest month, so if you want to take this offer, I would absolutely snap it up immediately. They do diffusers, they do candles, the best candles. They smell so good. My kids are obsessed, I'm obsessed. They do car scents, they do so many things. I mean, wax melts, I also have their wax melts downstairs. I have used their candles. I absolutely love all of their products and I am a regular customer with them. So the owner, Sarah, has very, very kindly given me this offer to share with you all. So if you want to use the offer and get 10% off for any order over £15 for the entire month of February, then all you have to quote when ordering is Mama10. So that's Mama10 if you want 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. I would go and nab that as quick as you can, to be honest, because they are the best. They're all over my house. I love them very much and I'm sure you will too. So you should have just heard an advert there for Crest Candles. Sarah has very kindly given me this offer to share with all of you. If you want the 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February, which is such a brilliant extended offer, you just need to quote Mama10. Now, unfortunately, Sarah's website is down at the moment, she has informed me. So if you want to place an order, if you just go to her Instagram or her Facebook page, both under Crest Candles, and you message her with what you would like to order, she will send you a payment link. And if you quote to her Mama10, you will get your offer as well. I personally would fully recommend Serenity. It is my favourite scent of hers. It's Sarah's own scent. She made it herself. And it is such a calming, fresh scent. And I think it's one of her strongest ones. It really, it really does scent your house really well. You know, if you've had it on in the morning, you can still smell it by lunchtime after you've blown it out if it's a candle. And I like it for the evenings. It's such a calming one. So that would be my recommendation. So if you would like to use that offer, you know what to do. I really hope you take it up because it's a brilliant offer from a small company that I really want to support because it's one of my favourites. So today on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about worries, mother worries, mum guilt. This was going to be one episode, and as ever, I was very unprepared. So last night, I sent out a message to just a few mamas that I know, and I said, please send me 5 worries that you have. And wow, I was absolutely inundated. My phone did not stop buzzing for like 2 hours with so many mums sending so many more than 5 worries. And most of these worries were repeated. So I've decided that rather than do one long, drawn-out episode on it, because it's such a big subject, I'm actually going to do 2, potentially 3 episodes of it. So in today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the worries that were repeated more than twice. So these are mothers who have no real... Like, we weren't in group chats for these ones that were sent. These were sent separately by mothers who wouldn't have known that other people had sent it, and a lot of these mothers, I replied to them saying, just so you know, that's been sent to me quite a few times and that is totally normal, don't stress. And when I sent that back, so many of these mamas were relieved to hear it. So I figured if I do the worries that were repeated so many times in this episode, might just make you all feel a bit better, because it did make me feel better. And honestly, the doubt that so many of these mums have, considering I look at them and think, wow, they have
everything together. They know what they're doing. They're doing so well at this motherhood. Like, I wish I could be more like them. And they worry about the exact same things as me. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through the worries and hopefully just make a few of you feel a bit better about it all, because actually I think we're all panicking that we haven't got a clue what to do. So one of the first worries that came up, this was one of the first that was sent back to me, and it was sent to me, I think this one was sent to me over 6 times. Work-life balance. Am I spending enough time with my children? So this is a very tricky one because it's very individual to everybody, isn't it? But all the mamas who sent me this, I look at them and think, wow, how are they doing it? How are they working full time whilst being amazing mums, and their children are happy and loved and, you know, looked after well and all of this? I just think whatever works for you is what's right for you and your family and for your children. Don't stress about, am I getting enough time with them and stuff. You never know. If you were getting enough time with them, it might not always be quality time. It's a difficult one. Obviously, I work part-time, so I get like the holidays and stuff with working in a school, and that works for us simply because we don't have a lot of childcare. However, when my kids go and see their grandma or their nana or family friends, like if they're with their Auntie Steph or whatever, they absolutely love it. And I'm sure that your kids don't look at you and think, oh, why are you never with me? Like, that is not, they don't see life how you see life. They'll just see it as, oh, I'm really happy because my mum is off today. My mum worked full time when I was a kid, and I was always at like my Nana Alice's or my Nana Beezy's, and I loved my childhood. And then when my mum was off work and we would do things together, I absolutely adored it. It was just quality time. Sometimes it is quality over quantity, but this one was repeated so many times that I had to touch on it first. It's an individual one. It's a worry that everyone seems to have, but it is an individual sort of reflection on, depends how your work-life balance is. Obviously, some mums work more than others, and, you know, you've got to work. You've got to earn money, haven't you? How are you going to put food on the table? So I wanted to cover that one first. Next one that came up a lot, and that I personally worry about a lot, is, am I too harsh and do I shout too often? And that kind of links into another that was sent quite a few times, which was, should I be trying to gentle parent more? This is another tricky one because, again, it's an individual one. I think all of them are obviously quite individual, but in fact it ties into a couple of others. There's another there that says, am I too strict? It came up a lot. I'm a very strict mum, or people think that I'm a very strict mum. I get called a strict mum. I get sort of, sometimes people think I'm being harsh on my kids. The reason I am strict with my children and potentially harsh on my children, and I feel guilty about it all the time, but it's because the world is a harsh place. And I know from experience, like, I'm seeing people who are being raised to believe that the world revolves around them and that life is cushy, and they're growing up, getting a job, and getting a very nasty shock about the fact that they actually have to work. So I'm harsh on my children because I don't want them to get that shock. Stuart was raised on a farm. He was worked hard from a young age, not in a bad way. He loved it. Like, he has nothing but good memories of that farm, and he always talks about it. But he was worked hard from a young age. I was raised in a family business. I got to, like, little jobs to do from a young age. I just think it's a good mentality to have your kids understand that, yeah, you have to work for a living. Life doesn't come free. Life doesn't always come easy. You don't always get your own way. And that no is a very valid word that has to happen sometimes. And I also think it creates boundaries for them. If they see you saying no, then they understand that when they're older, they can say no. That's my personal opinion of it. Obviously, we'll all have our own opinions, and I know that a lot of people are more gentle parents than me, and there's nothing wrong with that. They can do what they want, but in my house, I personally think that strict parenting works out. And do you know what? I'm forever getting people say to me about the kids' politeness, about their work ethic, how much they try and how, kind and nice they are. And those things do matter. I think sometimes I worry that I'm dulling their spark a bit by sort of trying to calm them, and it's tricky, isn't it? I want them to have the attitude to life to be able to say no and to go the path that they want, but at the same time they also need to understand that if they're going to go into sort of a mainstream job, they are just going to have to do their jobs. So I think everyone worries about this one. I worry about it all the time. However, I don't think we should too much, because what works for you and your family is what works for your children. What they're raised in will be their normal. And as long as they know that they're loved and that, say my kids are... my kids, throughout the week, this is how we do it. They have jobs to do, like chores. And on our fridge is the list of chores that we expect them to do each week, and then extra chores they can do. And for each chore they do... I feel like I'm saying chore, really posh, chore. For each job they do, they get paid a little bit of money. So for the general jobs, I think it's something like 5 pence per thing. So make your bed, you get 5 pence. And then for the bigger jobs, like help daddy wash the car, clean the windows, dust the house, whatever, they get 75 pence or 50 pence. So it's a big jump. And then at the end of the week, we add up all the jobs. We'll tick off what they've done. We add up all the jobs, and then they get that as their pocket money. So they earn their pocket money, and they are so chuffed at the end of every week that they have earned it. Not that it's been given to them, but that they've earned it. They feel really proud of themselves. So I think that a lot of people would find that harsh, that they won't get their pocket money without doing jobs. But it works for us. It works for our children. So yeah, I try not to stress about it too much anymore. Another one that came up so many times and that has come up in sort of different ways of writing is partly to do with fussy eating. It's, should I be pushing more healthy foods? Should I be cooking more homemade dinners? Do I give them too many things from the freezer? Are they eating enough? This one came up, it must have been over 10 times this one came up. And it's unbelievable, really, isn't it? Because we all nip to the freezer now and again and get them a meal out of it. We all nip to McDonald's. We all go Greggs. And food's food. When Alessia hit a stage not so long ago where she wasn't eating, the same stage that Lily and James went through, she did it the same as they did and literally lived off Quavers for about 3 weeks of her life. And I am not joking. Quavers and milk. And I felt awful for that entire time. However, it meant that she ate. So every time they've all gone through it, I would rather they ate something. It meant they ate and they came out of it. All of them came out of it. It's a stage. Most of the time it is a stage. It's a phase. It's not always. Sometimes it's a food phobia or a sensory issue, and it's a case of sort of working with your child to figure out what they will eat. It's also a case of sometimes going to a dietitian, which can be quite frightening. I have friends who have had to do that with their kids, and it's nerve-wracking, and you're scared about being judged, and you're scared about being reported, which is actually another one that came up repeatedly. Will someone report me to children's services for something that I thought was totally acceptable parenting behaviour? That came up by people who I never would have thought worried about that. I worry constantly about that one. And I guess everyone else does too. Sometimes I'll shout at the kids on the way to the car because it's been a mental morning and nothing's gone right. And unfortunately, as guilty as I feel about it, I feel like the only way to get through to them is to shout. And so I'll be shouting at them on the way to the car, and all I can think for the rest of the day is, did my neighbours see that, and do they think that I'm hurting my children behind closed doors? Do they think that I'm neglecting my children? Do they think I'm a bad mother? And it surprised me how many times this one came up. I don't think that's one that I can say is like an invalid one, unfortunately, because unfortunately, I have friends who are incredible mothers who have been reported for things that they absolutely shouldn't have been. And I don't think the system always works. And it's a very scary one, that one. But those mothers also proved themselves and have, full custody of their children, and the understanding that those allegations that were made were not necessarily valid ones. That's a really touchy subject, but that came up so many times, and I wanted to touch on it because I worry about this all the time, and it surprised me that so many mothers who I look up to and who I think, oh wow, you're such a good mum and your kids are so amazing, that they worry about it too. It just really shocked me. Another worry that I worry about constantly that came up, this was about 3 or 4 times this one came up, worry about the world that they're growing up in. And it's valid, isn't it? Like, the world is a terrifying place. However, I think that this is a worry that has been a mother's worry since the dawn of time, to be honest. I am sure that my mum will have worried about that one with me. I'm sure that my nana will have worried about it with my mum. I'm sure that it just has always been a worry because the world is ever changing and ever scarier. And we're constantly learning about new scary things in the world. And that's kind of why I avoid the news. It might not be the most grown-up, sensible way to do it, but I have to protect my mental health, and avoiding the news and staying ignorant is my way of doing it ever since COVID, with them stupid daily updates. Stuart used to watch them because he's quite anal. No offence to you, you're amazing, but you are anal. He's like, he has to know what's going on about everything. He likes all the information, so he would watch them daily. And in the end, I started leaving the room. I couldn't be on with it anymore. So ever since then, I've basically avoided the news, and that kind of helps me. Might help you. Let's see. Oh, another one. I'm always worrying about this, and apparently everyone else is too. Am I too overprotective, and am I holding them back with it? I guess it links into worrying about the world, doesn't it? It's quite an individual one again. I have friends who let their children play out quite far. I have friends who let their children play out just on the estate. I have friends who don't let their children play out at all. Again, I think it's down to, you know your child. You know better than anyone what's best for them. And you've got to trust that instinct that you're doing right by them as best that you can with all the information you have. I am terrified every time Lily and James leave the house. Obviously, Alessia is constantly by my side, so I don't have that worry with her yet. But when they leave the house to go and play at a friend's house, or they go and play out with their friends, I'm determined to let them, because I read a book, which I've forgotten the name of. But that book basically explained the reasons children do need their independence, but if your child has, say, autism or some additional needs and isn't necessarily very understanding of the dangers of the world, doesn't really know about the dangers of crossing a road and things like that, I don't think there's any particular age you can put on it. You have to trust your own instincts with this one. I guess, yeah, it's a gut one, that one, isn't it? I love the fact I'm sat here talking as if I know all this, and I'm sat here telling you all not to worry about these things, and I worry about them all the time. This one was brought up, this next one, I think this was about 3 times. Am I repeating my parents' mistakes? Obviously, I didn't delve into this one too much with the people. If they want to message me again and talk about it, they can. There's sort of cycles, isn't there? And they can be vicious, and it's very hard to break a cycle. I raised Lily and James in some similar ways to how I was raised, and in other ways and Alessia. Gee whiz, I have 3 kids. I have 3 children. Brenna, you have 3 children. I raise Lily, James and Alessia. In some of the ways I was raised, and in some of the ways not like how I was raised. I speak to my children more than I was spoken to in terms of things like death, mental health, even physical health, periods, borderline talk to them about things like sex and that, in a very age-appropriate way. But I think that my parents did everything they could with the information they had at the time, and it's very, very frightening talking to your kids about things like that, because you don't want to give them the wrong information. That's my personal thing of it. So I repeat certain cycles and I've broken others. Obviously, these maybe touch on more sinister cycles, in which case it's a tricky one, isn't it? But try to go easy on yourself, because if you're worrying about it, then that's good, isn't it? You're obviously trying your best. If you worry about something, then you're clearly trying. If you didn't worry about it, then there'd be more reason to actually be worried, if that makes sense. Yeah, touch you on that one. Very tricky. I'm just trying to find where I'm at, because I've had to I've mixed some of these in, haven't I, into the others. This was an interesting one that I worry about all the time. What do they see in me? What version of me do they see? Do they see me as not being as patient or as fun as their dad? That one came up a lot. Do they see the angry in me? You know, the anger. Do they see the angry? Do they see the anger in me? Do they see the frustration in me? And is that all they see? I worry about this one. I presume every mother worries about this one, actually. Before I had kids, I've said this a few times, I was the best mother in the world. Like, before you have kids, you are, aren't you? They won't have this, they won't have that, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll be polite, I'll be so calm, I'll be so patient, we'll always be out the door on time, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work out like that, because the world isn't perfect. So I think that is a worry that only really mums and potentially dads have. I think that is actually not something that kids would even consider. I think kids are amazing in that they see the best in everybody. I mean, my kids do. They see the nice parts of the world, and they always see the best in us somehow, you know. I mean, me and Stuart can be absolute mess-ups as parents, don't get me wrong. We try our best, but we can be impatient and we can be angry and we can be frustrated. And sometimes we argue in front of them, which I really didn't ever want to be doing. And we're not perfect, but they always miss us if we're out, and they always love to spend time with us. So I think they just see the best in us. They see the good. So try not to stress about that one too much. And the first mother who sent me that one, actually, she also sent one about worrying that other people would see a way that she parents and would see it as neglectful or abusive, even though she thought it was a perfectly acceptable way to parent. Now, this person I'm talking about, she's incredible. She's an amazing mama, and I think that she's maybe talking about the fact that she's a bit like me. She's quite strict. She wants her children to grow up being polite and kind, and she wants them to grow up understanding that, yeah, you have to work for a living and that the world doesn't revolve around you as much as we wish it did. And so, little message to you: you're an amazing mum, so don't stress over that one. This one came up a lot. Am I missing out too much with sending them to nursery to return to work? No, you're not. They're not either. They're loving it. We're going to be putting, hopefully, Alessia in nursery. We've put her on a waiting list. And I think she's going to love it. Kids need stimulation. Kids need time with other people. And you need work to earn money and to stay sane. Do not feel guilty about that one. Everyone feels guilty about that one. And don't, because children love nursery, and you might not love your work, but I tell you what, I bet it does actually keep you sane knowing that you're able to walk out the house if you've had a bad night or whatever. Plus, you're earning money to put food on the table and to give your kids a good life. Don't stress over it. Is my child lonely without a sibling, and should I feel guilty for not wanting more? No, you shouldn't. And no, they're probably not. Kids, they go to school, they meet friends, they get friends in nursery or on summer schools or at the park. Kids make friends everywhere, and I wouldn't stress about that one at all. Plus, at certain ages, up until about, 10 or something, they still see you as a friend, so they're not lonely. Don't stress about this one. If you've had a child and you've thought, I don't think I could do that again, I don't want to do that again to myself, then don't do it, because you'd be doing it onto your kid as well. Like, they need the best of you, so yeah, don't feel bad about that one. Do I do enough? This is the last one I'm going to cover today. Do I do enough? Yeah, you bloody do. Every mum does enough. We're absolutely inundated with jobs. We're knackered. You definitely do enough. All mums I know definitely do more than me, and they all turn around to me and say that I do more than them. We always see better in other people. Every mother is doing enough. If you're worrying about not doing enough, then you're definitely doing enough because you're worrying about it. Any of your worries prove that you're a good parent. I go to bed every night worrying that I'm a terrible mum and that my children are going to grow up traumatised and that I'm ruining their lives because I struggle with my mental health and I struggle with my physical health. And I mean, currently I'm nearly 28. I'm in the menopause, on HRT, and having what will hopefully, I pray to God, be my last period ever. So I have not been in a good place for the last few weeks, month or so, and I've very much relied on my husband, who has been amazing, and I have felt nothing but guilt. There was some days I physically couldn't do the housework because I physically couldn't get up and do another thing. There was days when I felt like it was such a hard thing just to get out of bed and do the school run and make breakfast and all those things that we have to do. But I did it, and instead of feeling bad about the things I didn't do, I chose to feel really, really proud of myself for getting up and doing it, because that's what we do as mums. You're all amazing, and I am going to cover worries again next week with more. So I've got quite a few, don't get me wrong, but if you've got any worries that are frequent to you, please send them over to me. mamasgonemad23@gmail.com or on the Instagram page at mamasgonemad_podcast. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to touch on them. I'm going to do those next week, and then I'm thinking the week after that I might touch on my own worries. Yeah. So, because you've all sent so many in, you've actually covered me for a few episodes, so I really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. But yeah, please keep sending them in. Even if it's a very random one worry message that you just come up with on the spot while you're on a walk. Quickly get your phone out, send it to me. Fabulous. Thank you. I am going to leave it there, though, for today, I think.
So I have a very exciting offer for you all. I have kind of teamed up with one of my favourite companies, Crest Candles, and I am able to offer all of my listeners an amazing offer of 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. So obviously February isn't the longest month, so if you want to take this offer, I would absolutely snap it up immediately. They do diffusers, they do candles, the best candles. They smell so good. My kids are obsessed, I'm obsessed. They do car scents, they do so many things. I mean, wax melts, I also have their wax melts downstairs. I have used their candles. I absolutely love all of their products, and I am a regular customer with them. So the owner, Sarah, has very, very kindly given me this offer to share with you all. So if you want to use the offer and get 10% off for any order over £15 for the entire month of February, then all you have to quote when ordering is Mama10. So that's Mama10 if you want 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. I would go and nab that as quick as you can, to be honest, because they are the best. They're all over my house. I love them very much, and I'm sure you will too.
So you will keep hearing that advert for the rest of February. I will remember to feature it on the podcast, absolutely. And yeah, definitely nab it up. Sarah's amazing. It's a small company. It's a local company in Cumbria. Obviously, I always talk about local companies. I love to big them up a bit, but I only do it if I really love the product, and I really do love Crest Candles. So if you want to use that, remember you just message the Crest Candles Facebook page or Instagram with your order and quote Mama10 and you will be sent a payment link. Remember as well, genuinely try Serenity. It's my favourite if you want a really nice calming scent for the evenings. To be honest, I think it helps with my anxiety. My mum started using it and she introduced me to them all, and I've been obsessed ever since. So yeah, that's what I would advise. It was meant to be a short episode. It's absolutely not, but thank you so much for listening yet again. Please like, rate and subscribe to the podcast. If you can, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really, 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 really helps. I can't actually explain how much it helps. And the ratings on Spotify really help too. 5 stars is very helpful and amazing if you think I deserve it. If you don't stress. I genuinely feel very, very honoured that you all listen to me every week. So thank you very much yet again for listening. If you want to get in touch, please email mamasgonemad23@gmail.com. If you could follow the Instagram as well, that is at mamasgonemad_podcast. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much again for listening to Mama's Gone Mad.
Mama's gone mad. Mama's gone mad. Mama's gone mad.
So I have a very exciting offer for you all. I have kind of teamed up with one of my favourite companies, Crest Candles, and I am able to offer all of my listeners an amazing offer of 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. So obviously February isn't the longest month, so if you want to take this offer, I would absolutely snap it up immediately. They do diffusers, they do candles, the best candles. They smell so good. My kids are obsessed. I'm obsessed. They do car scents. They do so many things. I mean, wax melts. I also have their wax melts downstairs. I have used their candles. I absolutely love all of their products, and I am a regular customer with them. So the owner, Sarah, has very, very kindly given me this offer to share with you all. So if you want to use the offer and get 10% off for any order over £15 for the entire month of February, then all you have to quote when ordering is Mama10. So that's Mama10 if you want 10% off any order over £15 for the entire month of February. I would go and nab that as quick as you can, to be honest, because they are the best. They're all over my house. I love them very much, and I'm sure you will too.